Do you believe Batman should kill the Joker? Hello again, Bat fans! In this episode we check out the final Batman comics of the 80s and the return of the Joker since a death in the family. The final comic book of the 80s is the Secret Origins Special. This book is notable because it was partially written by the great Neil Gaiman, who also started writing Sandman in the same year. The story in this Secret Origins Special is simple. There's a journalist in Gotham who wants to make special reports about the supercriminals and their origins. He only manages to get the origin of 3 criminals, the Penguin, the Riddler and Two-Face, although he desperately wanted the Joker's origin. The Penguin origin story was written by Alan Grant and illustrated by Sam Keith. Here they tell us how Oswald Cobblepot was bullied as a kid for being fat and how the other kids called him Penguin. His overprotective mother also told him to carry an umbrella, and that didn't help to stop the bullying. Oswald's only friends were the birds, and when he grew up, he became the criminal mastermind known as the Penguin. This story is interesting as it recreates the origin of the Penguin that was first told in 1981. Then comes the Riddler's origin story. This one was also written by Neil Gaiman, and it is the highlight of the whole book. Neil used the Riddler's origin from his first appearance in the Golden Age, without changing much details. However, the reason why this is by far the best story in the book is because of how Neil structured the Riddler's dialogue. The Riddler explains not only his origin story, but also how he misses the good old days in Gotham City. Those days when fighting Batman and Robin was fun and not dangerous. Of course, Riddler is talking about the Golden and Silver Age stories, where the dynamic duo were friendly and the Rogues Gallery were less dangerous. It's obvious that the Riddler's dialogue is actually Neil Gaiman speaking for himself and how much he missed the old Batman. This little story is a great homage to the early years of Batman, because Gaiman also includes an obvious reference to Bill Finger, Batman's co-creator. Gaiman includes the gigantic props that Bill Finger used in his stories, and he places them in the Riddler's hideout, called the Finger Yard. And besides, there are references to the old villains of the 60s TV show, who never appeared again. All in all, this is one fascinating short story thanks to Neil Gaiman. The third and final origin is the Two-Face story. However, this one doesn't really change anything from the original background story from the Golden Age, and it was later retconned out of existence by the new origin story from Batman Annual number 14, which we already discussed in previous videos, so check it out. And by the end of this book, the journalist finishes his program, but as he records his final message, he starts laughing like a maniac until he dies with a horrible grin in his face. The man who wanted to have the Joker's origin story so badly was killed by the Clown Prince of Crime himself, who makes a brief but terrifying appearance by the end of this book, foreshadowing his return to the Batman comics. But that's not even the biggest foreshadowed about his return. DC really wanted to make a big deal out of the Joker's return, and that is very evident in Detective Comics 616. In this book, there's a powerful demon that has been unleashed in Gotham City, and it starts killing many people. Batman confronts the demon and barely manages to defeat the monster, but despite this confrontation, the Dark Knight has only one thing in mind: the Joker. Before stopping the demon, Batman heard the news about the Red Hood robberies, and he immediately realized Joker didn't die in the helicopter crash during a death in the family. Batman knows that the Joker is alive. However, the truth is much more complicated than that. The story in Batman 450 reveals that there is an impostor posing as the Joker committing crimes around Gotham. This impostor is a rich man called Curtis Bass, and he is impersonating the Joker to commit crimes based on bad jokes. Curtis believes, like everyone else in Gotham, that the Joker is dead, and that's why he decided to impersonate the Madman. What nobody knows is that the Joker is alive, but he is still recovering from the helicopter crash during a death in the family. He manipulated Two-Face during a lonely place of dying, while he was still recovering. But time has passed, and even though his body is now fine, his mind is not what it used to be. Joker is frustrated because he doesn't find crime funny anymore. He even tried going out in his old identity as Red Hood, but even that didn't work. Joker starts losing hope of ever being amused by crime again, until he realizes that his reputation is being ruined by bad jokes. This realization gives the Joker back his madness, and he gets ready to stop the impostor. Meanwhile, in Detective Comics 617, we get what I think is the best comic book that encapsulates the relation between Batman and the Joker. This story is called A Clash of Symbols, and it represents the powerful symbolism of Batman and the Joker. Both of them are dark symbols. Batman is the symbol of fear and Joker is the symbol of death. In this story, Alan Grant explores the nature of their relation and hints at the idea that they are destined to repeat their conflict forever. I know that sounds like a cliché, but in this story it is revealed in a very poetic and carefully crafted manner. Alan Grant uses the concept of Batman versus the Joker as an analogy of good versus evil in human nature and its endless conflict. All of this with amazing illustrations by Norm Breyfogle. Truly one of the best creative teams in the history of Batman. And after that last story, the finale to the Joker's return should have been something amazing of epic proportions. But sadly, that wasn't the case. The Joker's comeback ends in Batman 451, written by Marv Wolfman and illustrated by Jim Aparo, and calling this a letdown is kind of an understatement. The Joker sets out to stop the impostor who is posing as him and ruining his reputation. Meanwhile, Batman and Gordon are having an existential crisis, knowing that they will soon come face to face with the Joker, and they fear their reaction when the moment comes. Gordon is still tormented by the crippling of Barbara, and Batman is haunted by the death of Jason. Both of them want to see the Joker dead, but the question is, will they kill him? In the meantime, the man who is impersonating the Joker comes up with a plan to get rid of Batman and Gordon, and he lures them to the Ace Chemical building, where the real Joker was transformed all those years ago. The fake Joker manages to trap Batman and Gordon, but the real Joker shows up in time to stop him. The Joker wants to set the record straight and remove the impostor, but the fake Joker believes he is a better Joker than the real one. In order to complete the transformation, the fake Joker jumps into the bath of acid, but instead of changing into the Joker, the man is killed because the chemicals are much stronger now than they were before. And here we get this panel as a reference to the Joker's transformation in the Batman movie, with his hand reaching out of the acid. Batman and Gordon capture the real Joker, and for a brief moment they hesitate. They both want to kill the madman, but in the end, they decide to take him back to Arkham, where Joker starts recovering his complete madness once again. This was supposed to be the great Joker comeback after a death in the family, but it is simply another Joker story. It's definitely not groundbreaking or epic in any sense. It simply allows us to see why Batman and Gordon refuse to kill the Joker. They simply are not killers and they refuse to take that path. It's a very simple answer and very straightforward, and that's probably why it doesn't work. A question like that should have been answered in some sort of epic moment between Batman and the Joker with grandiose dialogue, but instead it all remains within the subtext of the story, and in that sense it doesn't live up to the hype of the great Joker comeback. That is something that's entirely up to the writer, and in this story it finally becomes obvious that Marv Wolfman was not exactly a good Batman writer. A Lonely Place of Dying was his only good story during his run, and that was mostly because he used Nightwing and introduced Robin. Marv Wolfman was an expert when it came to stories about young people like the Titans, and it shows, but when it comes to the dark world of Batman, he was just not good enough. And that's exactly why this is the last Batman story written by Marv Wolfman. Editor Dennis O'Neil realized Wolfman was not delivering great stories, and he hired writer Peter Milligan to create a short storyline called Dark Knight, Dark City. In the next episode, we check out that storyline and also the introduction of Tim Drake's parents. For all that and many more Batman videos, subscribe now and don't forget to leave a like. Until then, Godspeed, my friends.